Thank you. The Red Bank Historic Preservation Commission will hold a regular meeting on Wednesday, March 18th, 2026 at 7 p.m. at 90 Monmouth Street, Red Bank, New Jersey. Adequate notice of this meeting has been posted at Borough Hall, filed with the Borough Clerk, and provided to the Asbury Park Press and the Two River Times. The commission has maintained a policy cutoff hour of 8:30 p.m. for its hearings. Please stand for the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance
to the flag
of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible. May we have roll call, please?
I'm asking everyone to hit the push button when they want to speak. These mics are very new and so they're sensitive. So if you don't have the green light on, I can't hear you in the recording. So just FYI. Louis Almarie,
Present.
Marjorie Cavalier,
Present.
Liam Collins,
Present.
Paul Cagno,
Present.
Karen Schmelzkoff, absent. Anthony Sotero, absent. Michael White, absent. Betsy Valera,
Present.
and Matthew Cummings.
Present.
Thank you.
Thank you. Next matter is to approve the minutes of the last meeting, which was on January 21st, 2026. Draft of those minutes was included in the materials distributed in advance of the meeting. May I have a motion?
I'll make the motion.
Thank you. Do I have a second?
Second, Liam.
Thank you. Aye.
Aye.
Aye. Thank you.
Yeah, you can.
I'd like to move to the Minor Works Review Committee report. Shauna, would you like to take the lead on that?
So the Minor Works Committee reviewed applications for signage for 7 Broad Street. 7 Broad Street, 21 East Front, and 170, I think it was 178. I'm sorry, I'm confusing myself. But yeah, 21 East Front Street and 7 Broad Street. Both those signs were approved by the commission. And that's about it.
So 7 Broad Street, that's the kitchen one, or is that the liquor one?
That is that one is a window sign, a storefront window sign. Because the World Liquor is the main store, and then in their basement, it's going to be a pinball arcade game business type of thing, recreational thing. And so the signage that's on the window is for the pinball lounge that's downstairs.
Are they having any kind of graphic, like a hand pointing down or anything?
No, it just says so the name of it, I'll just share it really quickly.
In each case, we get a rendering of what the sign
Okay.
will look like. And I must say, more than half the time, we go back and ask for better rendering.
Yeah.
Because people,
So
Okay.
that's, if you look up, that's what the sign looks like right now.
Oh, that I appreciate it.
Yeah.
And could you just show me the other one on Front Street, you said?
Broad Street.
Oh, sorry.
Oh, this one, we have not approved it. I stand corrected. East Front Street is not approved. She's going to send back revised drawings for this sign.
It's not a good.
It doesn't comply with the signage ordinance, and it's just a little bit too much. So she's actually reworking this right now. So I take that back. We've only approved 7 Broad Street, 21 East Front has not been approved.
So did you give her any feedback about the sign to
Yeah.
make it better? What did you say to her?
We couldn't, in particular, there's that round sign that we were told is going to hang in front of the door.
Yeah.
But as rendered right there, it's the scale can't be right because
No,
look at
it's
the
not.
door, look at the sign.
Yeah, right.
If you walked out of the door, you'd hit your head on the sign. In addition, there was no information about the coloring used for the gray, what color the white is. It was just, there was not enough information.
Okay.
The sign is a little bit too, so on a zoning standard, it doesn't comply with our zoning ordinance, for the sign itself. Also, the name of the store has to be on the top. It can't just be ice cream delivery lives here. So she's gonna readjust that. The open sign is illuminated, so that is going to be not illuminated anymore. And so again, like I said, she's reworking all of this.
So was she given or directed to the design guidelines?
She was directed to our signage ordinance, which kind of tells you how big a sign should be, but she came in and didn't know what to do. So this is what she presented. She is again going to come back with, and she's working with Maren.
Yeah,
too.
I guess that's where I was leading in a indirect way because supposedly Marin now has a handout to give to people
Yeah,
who
so
come in.
she didn't know this is a really a new business owner, that just moved into town, is trying to get her ice cream shop open. Her person came, her landlord said, fill out the development permit application. When we saw that it's located in a historic district, told her that she needed an application, so that was another thing. So she's going through the process. Again, she's new, she's just throwing something together and submitting it. That's usually what happens, and then we work with them.
Yeah, I mean, I think we talked about last year creating this environment that was more collaborative. And if somebody wanted to come to us before they submitted an application, that we could have a conversation. So when did she just talk to you or did she have a Zoom call with the other members of the?
I told her zoning wise what's not permitted. So even if this board was to like this sign and approve it, zoning wise, she wouldn't get approved for it.
Okay, all right. I mean, I just would like, now that we have this to,
Does she give out a copy of the guidelines?
yeah, talking to the microphone later.
She is aware of what is permitted in the area and in the zone. I've given her multiple examples. This is not a challenging applicant. She's very sweet. And again, once I told her that the issues with her sign, she's reworking it with her sign person. I think she drew this herself. And I told her she needed to work with the professional because of the scale and everything like that.
Mhm.
So again, this is someone who just said she needs the sign, she needs to open her store, she threw something together, and this is where we're at.
Okay, all right, thank you. I mean, I just want to, yeah, make sure that we're all on the same page when we talk to these folks, but
Agreed.
yeah.
I
Okay,
thought there
thank
was
you.
one other sign that we approved. It was a couple of doors down, the new apartments on Mom.
Oh, that was back in February. I'm sorry. Yes, we did approve 120 Monmouth. Oh, it's on my thing. Huh. 120 Monmouth, that was back in February. Should really write this stuff down. This is for a sign on another sign on the window. This way.
You put that up.
Yes. And
There it is.
for Kenny's Meals.
Oh, okay, that's in the bottom of a apartment building.
That's
This is that new, the new.
Yeah, the
apartment
black and
building.
white one on Monmouth.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay,
So, yeah. That's his logo, so we approved that. So it's 120 Monmouth and 7 Broad Street, 121 East Front. We're still working out some kinks to it.
And there's one, maybe you mentioned it already.
Oh,
And you didn't give us yet because
178 Monmouth Street. I did not give that to you guys.
it's clearly.
It's not in compliance at all. And I've asked her for more things and we're just going back and forth with that
Okay.
person.
All right, very good.
Yeah. So
Okay,
that's that.
thank you. As to the River Center report, I guess.
Anthony's not
It's
here.
not here, so we can't have a,
We don't know if they met even.
okay.
Okay, Historic Sites Designation and Design Guidelines Committee. So the last bit with Stephen is the survey, and if you remember for the new people on the board, in addition, when we got the grant, in addition to the design guidelines, he has to do an in-depth study of certain sites, and we decided that they would all be in the business district. And at the time, he was hoping to do 70, but there were a couple that had to be dropped off. So what we came down to was he submitted to the state 67 contributing property surveys. And one additional, which is where Toast is. But the issue with Toast is we have a period of significance when we were doing our design guidelines in the survey, which was basically looking at buildings constructed between 1880 and 1955. The Toast, which started out as a diner, Chinese restaurant, whatever, is outside of that. But because it's an old-time diner, they wanted to include it in the survey, even though it is outside the period of significance. So he's been back and forth, but he did say that by the end of March, that should be closed out. So-
It is. It was submitted to the Historic Trust. They have a digital copy and all the supporting documents, which includes the write-up of the community engagement, of the brochures that Stephen made, any of the documents that he created. So they have a copy of our historic guidelines, they have a copy of the architectural survey, and all the supporting documents that goes along with that. The Historic Trust has received it, and so we are completely closed out other than submitting hard copy. So Stephen's sending that to the state. The hard copy of the architectural survey and a hard copy of the historic guidelines. And so on my end, I just need to go into the Historic Trust website to close out our grant and to receive our final funding amount.
And then when will he be paid?
He's already paid.
Oh, he's already been paid.
We are getting reimbursed back for fronting the money.
Okay, so.
Yeah, he bills us every time he does work, so he's being paid, he's been
And,
paid
and we're on budget with that.
all the way on budget.
Great.
Nice.
Okay.
Okay. Shall we move to the old business certified local government application?
Did everybody print it out? What Liam sent? Did everybody have a copy of this?
I mean, I only have my own.
You want to share with?
Yeah.
Kathy? All right. Okay. So if we have questions along the way, should we hold them till the end or can we ask questions? Can we ask questions while you're making your presentation?
We can, I mean, it can be a conversation. I mean,
Yeah.
I'll just summarize quickly and then I'll go through each
Yeah,
one. You
please.
can.
Okay.
So I mean, congratulations again on the guidelines. That was.
Oh, that was
excellent.
very well
And
done.
Really, the first
It was. Thank
kind of phase of what we're trying to put together as the HPC. The second phase is to apply to become a certified local government. So the state of New Jersey has a preservation office. And within that office, they have a historic preservation fund. And so if Red Bank becomes a certified local government, we're then eligible for some of those funds, which we currently are not eligible for because we have not applied yet.
And can I just interject that? So currently, I think there's 37 municipalities that are designated. And in Monmouth County, the only two in Monmouth County are Freehold and Middletown Township.
Right. So that puts us at a disadvantage because we're just not eligible at all. And so if we do apply and we get certified, then, like I said, we'll be eligible for grants ranging from 15,000 to 50,000 per year. And it doesn't require any local match as well, which is great. Another benefit is local control. So we would get a formal seat at the table for the National Register nominations. So the state can't nominate Red Bank unless we have a seat at the table. The other nice thing is that they would provide training for us. So, and part of the requirements in becoming a certified local government is that each of us would need to go through 5 hours of training every year to make sure that we're on top of new laws, or at least aware of best practices and things like that. So the practical steps for us, the application deadline for this year is actually the end of this month. So I don't think we'll make it this year.
Not a
but
chance.
No,
At least we've got the conversation started, so we know what we need to put together.
well, and if the commission approves going forward with it.
Well, yeah, obviously, if we all agree on that. According to Shauna, we already are registered on Sage, the system for administering grants electronically.
Yeah, that's what we've always used for every grant we've always applied for. We've
Okay,
been
so-
registered for several years.
Yeah, that's one of the prerequisites. The other thing, we must ensure that our local code explicitly empowers the HPC to designate and regulate sites. So our guidelines already do that in the ordinance, and there's one piece I think that's missing that we need to talk about. That's it's connected to this this application as well. So yeah, that's it basically. So if we want to become certified local government, we need to meet these requirements, and then that will make us eligible for those benefits that I described.
So going through this, and the reason for new folks, the reason why it's under old business is like the first year I went to a conference, and that's when I learned about it. And so we've been thinking about it since then, but one of the obstacles was that we didn't have the formalized design guidelines, which was a major step. So now that we've done that, I think at the end of the conversation, I would hope that we could pass a motion that we would begin the application process for it. But there's a couple of things that I think we need to clarify, and maybe Michelle would want to do this for us. And so the next thing that Liam included under his handout was contingent demolition ordinance, or maybe that would be an amendment to the current ordinance. So my understanding, and this is maybe needs clarification, that if somebody chooses to buy a property and demolish it for whatever reason, and so an example I had was one of the, whether it's true or not, if somebody wants to demolish a historic property, even if it's not in the district, that it should come before this board, before the HPC.
That was what we understood from the last meeting, but then when I reviewed the guidelines again, it says something different. If you look on page 8 of the guideline, excuse me. So the review process states for the development application that a certificate of appropriateness is required from the HPC. But if you look at the demolition or relocation permit review process, that certificate of appropriateness does not exist. And so that's what I was going to propose tonight, that we amend the ordinance so that it includes a certificate of appropriateness and not, and also a new part of the process, which would be what I was going to present here to help to clarify what I mean. So currently a developer theoretically could buy a building, ask for permission to tear it down and then leave an empty lot for however long the permit lasts. And I think this has been a kind of modus operandi that a lot of developers have used in Red Bank over the years, not only in the historic district, but in other parts of the town.
So would one example be across from Riverview Hospital
That's what I was
where
thinking.
they tore that down and just kind of planted grass there and going to leave that for 2 years and then do whatever with it?
Right. So that would be a good example. Another example would be right down the street here on Mama Street where Big Man's West used to be, Clarence Clemens nightclub. And, you know, I understand that that was all approved before this government was in place. But at the same time, now we're going to have a huge building that is non-contributing in the middle of the historic district for the next few generations. So, yeah.
Are you presenting?
You know, if you look at 31 Mechanic Street, I mean, it's the same thing. You know, you drive past it, it sticks at what I like to call it sore thumb. It looks like a sore thumb. It's at the mouth of the historic district. It's got modern windows. It looks contemporary. You know, the brick is off color. It's frustrating, you know, and I'm on the zoning board. And so, Shauna, I don't know, you know, when I've been on the zoning board for a few years, I haven't approved any of those projects. But
I
it
can
doesn't
tell you
come
when
up.
that was approved.
Well, I
And
guess
I'll
my-
tell you all the people that approved that application.
I guess what my point is, the zoning board members, I'm not sure that they've ever even seen this, quite frankly. And so I know that they're not considering it because if they haven't seen it, how do they even consider the historic guidelines? But that building to me is a fumble. So what can we do is my question would be, what can we do to have the planning board and the zoning board get on the same page? Because it doesn't seem to be reflected, you know, and the other story, remember across from Red Rock, when I was on the zoning board, it wasn't at the historic meeting, but the gentleman came in and, you know, the windows and the addition and the siding and the shiplap and all that stuff. The zoning board, you know, they didn't even know what you all talked about.
They actually did because I spoke about it.
Well,
You weren't at the meeting, Paul, so you
Well,
can't say
you-
that they didn't know about it, but I did.
I was at the meeting.
You were not at the meeting.
I wasn't at the
You
historic
weren't at the
meeting. But I was at the zoning board meeting.
Yeah, you were at the zoning, that's correct. You were at the zoning board meeting, but you weren't at the historic meeting to where we discussed it. And actually what we discussed, because Michelle was at the meeting too, at the historic meeting and told them exactly, and they agreed to everything.
Well, when I came back and discussed it with this board, that was not what they said. And when everyone was somewhat alarmed to learn that they had approved black windows.
Oh, are we talking about
The one
building
across, yeah, the Chet,
where the
in-
flower store used to be?
yes,
Yeah.
Oh, we did review that.
yes. So.
Um,
not
I-
understanding.
Well, it
Now-
was
now the black
reviewed.
windows part,
But you're
I
saying the
don't
zoning
remember.
board didn't know anything about it. or the
No, I'm
planning-
saying that that there was no right, we had talked about this, that there was no write-up about what was discussed here. There was perhaps a relay, Shawna, that you said to them. But I knew that there were elements of that design that this board did not approve. And we had talked about that at the following meeting. So what I'm saying is now is that when is it going to come to pass that the zoning board is going to have complete understanding what historic is trying to do? Because I don't see it.
could we?
But
have
are
that
there,
continued?
how many applications have been before the historic, commission and that's been before the zoning board? But very few. And the application that you're speaking of for 19-29, Mechanic Street, the One Globe building, that was approved in 2023. That was before you were on the board.
Yeah.
So you can't say that, and that was before we did the design guidelines, so you can't say that the historic commission, the point of view wasn't sought for this building when none of these guidelines existed at the time.
Well, I'm not saying that
And
they
it
were
was it
installed.
wasn't, but it wasn't a strict, it wasn't the ordinance that we have now. That wasn't the ordinance that governed this, governed when this application went before the board. Again, it was 2023.
Well, that I understand, but
Of
my question
January.
is, what has been done now when the new what is the VA building gonna look like? What are all these other new construction? Because my point is that there hasn't been one occasion where a zoning board has considered what the Historic Preservation Committee is trying to do.
The VA building, again, was approved before this application. That VA building was approved way before even I started working, which was 6 years ago. And they went back to the planning board for an amended site plan, and that was approved again before the new ordinance came into place. So you can't look at the new all the buildings that are being constructed now and say, well, the Historic Commission and the design guidelines weren't being considered, because these applications were approved prior to all of this. It's just that everything's happening right now when people were delayed because of COVID, because of financing, because of whatever. Their projects were delayed and they're just now going for their building permits. So you're going to see a lot of these projects that were approved prior that, yes, they don't fit into the context of the design guidelines because they didn't know about it when, at the time when they were approved for their architecture and for everything else. And we can't go back to them to say, hey, the plans that you were approved that during that time before this law existed, you have to go back and adjust it to fit our design guidelines.
Okay, so, but we do know, just to clarify, I believe, and verify this or not, that every member of the planning board got a copy of the design guidelines. Is that correct?
They have an electronic copy of the design guidelines. They are aware of the design guidelines.
Okay, and what about the zoning board? Did they get a copy?
They don't, the zoning board isn't really supposed to deny applications based on the look of it. It's based on whether the site is suitable, the use is suitable for the site, or the bulk variance is suitable for the site. We kind of get a little bit too technical when you go into like building colors, things like that when it comes to these applications that come before the zoning board. And that's why the recommendations of the Historic Commission goes to them in writing. However, there has not been many applications that's come before the Historic Commission that goes to the zoning board. There has not. There has been probably 2 applications.
Yeah, but I have to push back on this because there are many applications that come into zoning that the experts for the applicants, and they're all the same, right? The experts for the applicants will come in and start telling the zoning board members about the master plan and how the master plan is encouraging this and the master plan is encouraging that. Well, is there not a historic element to the master plan that
For the
they seem to be
historic,
talking about?
for the historic districts and for the historic designated individual sites.
Well, for new construction, he talks about new construction that are in the guidelines. So why is it?
New
that zoning-
constructions within the
Yeah,
historic
but Sean,
districts, and then
what is the point? If we can't bring up to applicants who are building new construction, what exactly are we doing? Like, what is the point?
within the historic districts, and that's on a historic property. That's our jurisdiction. If you read the ordinance, it states that we have
But what
jurisdiction.
about the master plan? Because
The master plan-
the experts are looking for variances from the ordinances, but what about when they're quoting the master plan?
From,
Why can't we say as a zoning board member, hey, the master plan also has a historic element?
and the historic element dictates what's for the historic districts and the historic sites.
I don't believe that to be true. I
That is
believe
what
that
it is
the
true.
guidelines to
And
be.
you can ask Michelle on this, but that is what the element is for. The element it speaks about the historic districts and the historic site. It tells you what should be a potential historic district or a potential historic site. It talks about historic districts and sites and what is potential to be designated. And then if you decide to move forward, you should designate those sites.
Okay, so new construction in Red Bank, are you saying that new construction in Red Bank should not take into consideration the historic character of this town?
They can. But if it's in a historic district or site, you can have more say, but if it is not, we speak to people all the time and say, yes, you have to look at the look at the character of the streetscape, of the areas around you, match what's in there. That's as close as we can get to say, look at the building across from you, look at the elements that's in down the street. We've said that many times for the historic, for the zoning board and for the planning board.
I haven't, well, I'm on the zoning board and I don't recall anyone ever.
Are you
coming
at
to-
every single meeting, Paul, though?
I'd say I'm probably about 95%
You're
of them.
not at every single.
Okay, can I just clarify one thing?
I didn't
Because
say, well, I'm not going to let you disparage that I'm somehow an absentee zoning board member.
I'm not disparaging, but
90% of the meetings.
I'm
have I
just
missed?
saying, Paul, that we can't
Can I
say
interrupt?
that the zoning board does not look at things like that. I'm not gonna have you disparage the entire zoning
I'm
board.
not disparaging the
I'm not.
entire zoning board.
I think we're talking about
What,
moving
where
forward.
do we want to go with this?
Yeah.
Well, can I continue my presentation?
Yeah.
Because I
Yeah.
think it will
Yeah.
address some.
Also, I'd like to spend more time about what we can do going forward and less critiquing the past.
Okay,
Yeah, well, I
so
think
go ahead.
we all
Liam.
agree, we all agree that something needs to change because what is happening is, and what Paul's saying is that these buildings are approved, they're now non-contributing, they're going to be with us for generations, and there's a problem. So we need to fix that problem. What I think from a legal standpoint of view, the problem is that the ordinances from the zoning and planning boards are not integrated with the historic preservation ordinances. And so the process then is disrupted, and we're ignored because we're not integrated into the
Anthony's son.
oh.
I've been here the whole time, guys.
So
Okay.
so I think that, and I think we need to get advice from Michelle. We need to get advice from the borough
Yeah,
attorney. and-
ultimately, the purpose of this conversation that Liam's prepared is perhaps to make recommendations to our attorney to look into it and ultimately have a motion to go forward. And one of the things that even Stephen told us, that once we had the design guidelines published, then we should then look at the zoning ordinances and that they should be in compliance, but
Well, and not only in compliance, but integrated.
integrated,
with
yes, right. So,
Their process.
right.
So when someone comes with a building permit proposal to the zoning board, they would say, oh, the first question is this in the historic district? Yes, it is. Okay, then you must go to the HBC first, get your certificate of appropriateness, and then come back to us. That step is missing because
It's not missing, that's already there.
Right.
But how
That is-
come we're missing all these?
They aren't missing because they aren't
Aren't
in
in the
historic
district.
district.
Right. So that,
Well, no, the one on Monmouth Street, just up the street there, because that was approved years ago.
Yes.
Yeah.
That was
okay,
a different.
prior
ordinance
to the
yeah.
ordinance. But going forward, right?
All right,
Is
but that-
there a difference between our responsibility in historic district and a historic site or building if it's going to be demolished?
Well, that's
To
what-
me is a first step.
Yeah, that's what I'm pointing to on
Okay.
page 8 of the guidelines, where the certificate of appropriateness is missing, which is an integral part in us preserving and saving those sites. And so my proposal is that if that happens, so if I come and I say, I have this building in the historic district, I would like to tear it down and build something new there. Okay, that's fine, but you have to have, first, you have to present to us what will be put there in its place before you take down the old building. And That's outlined here in my, in the presentation. So the solution could be a simultaneous approval. So the replacement plan, so no demolition permit would be issued for a contributing structure until the HBC has approved a certificate of appropriateness for the replacement building. And why is this? This ensures that we never lose a historic asset without knowing exactly what is coming next and ensuring it fits in with the district's character. These are all best practices, by the way, what I'm suggesting. The 2-year use it or lose it clause, which would be demolition and new construction permits, should be linked. If the new building is not substantially completed within 24 months of the demolition, a penalty applies. And then it gives some suggested penalties for vacant lots. If a developer tears down a building and fails to rebuild within the 2-year window, I suggest a performance bond and maintenance penalty, which would be before the demolition, the developer must post a cash bond, for example, 5% of the estimated new construction cost. If the lot is still empty after 2 years, the bond is forfeited to the Red Bank Historic Preservation Fund. The pocket park penalty pocket park penalty. If the lot remains vacant, the owner is legally required to install and maintain a public green space, sod, fencing, and benches at their own expense until construction begins. Daily fines, a non-compliance fee of $500 per day for maintaining a blighted vacant lot within a designated historic district. Then I mentioned these different precedents, case studies for other townships within New Jersey that have implemented these penalties and laws into their ordinances. And then I have a suggested timeline for, the first part we've already done, Sage, we've already done that. The second part would be to have the borough attorney and maybe Michelle review our suggestion here that amendment be made to chapter 490 in the demolition clause ordinance that we see on page 8 of the guidelines. And that we have a draft of what that ordinance will look like by the next HPC meeting.
If possible.
Right.
Yeah, if possible. And the training enrollment, so does that have to be all members need to have some training or just a representation of the
believe
people?
I believe it's all members have to have 5 hours of training every year.
Every year?
Yeah, we
So-
still need to submit our resumes.
Mhm. So the next possible opportunity for people to get trained or, 5 hours would be the Morristown Conference in June. I'm on a panel there, so I will be there on the second day.
I'll be attending as well,
Okay, great. For the 2 days?
both days.
Okay, great. So people, and I think there's also online, so it's not like somebody has to go to a conference.
Mhm.
There are online opportunities as well, so we should take advantage of those. And, if everybody agrees to start taking these steps, and we're not going to make the deadline this year, but have a goal of submitting
Mhm.
by March of 2027 and accomplishing the various things that Liam's put forward. So, discussion?
Would
I
it
guess?
be sensible,
Into the microphone.
would it be sensible to form a committee of 3 or so people,
Can't be more than that.
to take this forward?
I think, having gone through the design guidelines with 3 members of the committee and 1 additional liaison with the River Center, is the best way to get it going rather than having us function as a committee as a whole to take this on. I mean, that would be my recommendation.
Would the other possibility be to have the grant writer submit, or pull the application together, Shauna?
The grant writer only applies for grants.
Okay, so this would have to be done through a committee then, this application.
It would have to be done through my office.
All right, so
So
do you think the
other,
committee would be useful then in the process to help your office to get it?
The commission would like to put together a committee, that's fine.
I would strongly recommend it because it's easier to get like 3 people together, even like on a Zoom or something, than to function as a committee as a whole to get it done. Some of these things I think are easier than others. Perhaps Christina could shepherd amending the ordinance of the HPC, perhaps. I mean, she's not here tonight, but, she is our liaison. So if, I mean, anybody want to speak to it at all? So,
I'll volunteer to be on the subcommittee.
okay. It's one.
Okay, I will too.
All right, Liam, okay.
One more?
Is there another? Anyone?
I'll volunteer to be on it too.
Great. So we have 3. We have our 3. So my recommendation would be for those 3 to really do a deep dive into this application and let us know. I think we can all start working on our resume. So as I understand it, Liam, and correct me if I'm wrong, we all have a different designation, a different category to why we were appointed to this board. So my recommendation would be focus on that,
That's a good idea.
and start working on that aspect of it. So that would be one item to take off.
Yep, that's a good first step, that one of our checks that we can check off. if we
Yeah,
get that together for the
if in your investigation, Liam, if there's a sample, if you could reach out and see, just what kind of thing they're looking for. I mean, do we need to say where we went to grammar school or something? I don't know. But
Well, yeah,
what should be included? What should be included in the resume?
Okay, I could send out some.
Yeah, just send out an inquiry and, if they have a sample, we could start working on that. Who will contact Christina to talk with her about amendments needed to the ordinance for us to do our job in a better way?
I think you first need to talk to Michelle.
Michelle?
She wrote the ordinance. I just sent an email to her
Okay.
asking for a discussion.
So we'll just say that if she could look at Liam's notes and the ordinance, oh, okay. So
Okay,
think that-
and the borough attorney, should they be involved at all as far as?
Said it last.
Okay,
So when it's ready to go before council, that's when he looks at it.
great.
okay, and so the training aspect of it, I mean, if we're shooting to maybe have this ready by March of 2027, if we could ask everybody on the board if this could be reflected in the minutes to look at training opportunities, a 5-hour minimum.
Is there a list of available trainings that you're aware of, or a website or something? we can
Well,
look at?
I just know that there are different ways of approaching training. It could be like, I don't know, but for example, if you go on excursions, if you go on guided tours of historic sites in different cities, maybe that would be something that would be included, as well as formal conferences. And then there are at the national level, we could also, I could ask Stephen if he's aware of various online.
There are always many online continuing education opportunities, many of which are free, some are paid. But I imagine reaching out to like the State Historic Trust, they should know of things of
But
this nature.
Do you think you could
Sure.
look into that for us?
Do we
And,
have
and,
do we have a contact at Preservation New Jersey or the Historic Trust?
I don't know of offhand,
Okay.
no. I mean, just kind of reach out. And then, Shauna, we do have a budget so that if people attend these conferences, they are reimbursed?
You would have to let me know and I register you because it comes out of my budget.
Okay, so as a presenter, I have a discounted rate of $40, but others it's
So you'd have
90.
to let me know. You'd have to send me that information so that I could put it in the invoice. I
So
have to
You
input
would,
it.
you would pay for it.
Yeah, I have to register you. I have to do all of that.
Okay,
Yeah.
okay, so, okay. So,
But we don't need a motion then
Well,
on any
I-
of this, really. yeah?
well, I think we're
Or,
kind of, everybody seems to be in favor of that.
Well, we should.
We should probably
we should
formalize
try
a
and
motion.
Formalize the formation of this
Yes,
committee.
okay.
yes.
So do we have a motion? You've heard the three who volunteered for this committee. Do we have a motion to make that a committee focused on the certified local government application? A
A motion, yeah.
So Liam's making the motion? And so, and this would be formalized onto future agendas under reports?
Yes,
Okay,
and we could call it the Certified Local Government Committee. Or if you have a better name,
Okay.
we need a second.
Second.
Thank you. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Any opposed?
Anthony also is in favor. He raised his hand.
Aye.
Okay.
Do we know, as a certified local government, what, are there any other commitments that we would then be sort of needing to adhere to on a yearly basis?
Well,
Uh,
it's,
and
oh,
file
go ahead.
any
Mention the
historic-
National Historic Committee that we can serve on. Why don't you mention that?
Oh, you mean the,
Historic sites. We can, that, we don't, it's not mandatory, but we can.
yeah, that makes us eligible to nominate sites. But one of the other things we need to maintain is an inventory list and an inventory system, actually, that I.
Which we're doing
right,
with the second component of Stephen's work for us.
right, okay.
An in-depth study survey of certain sites. So what I don't know is if, to maintain it, if we have to add certain sites. But if we're designated, then we do have the money that the town does not have to come up with to hire someone like Stephen to survey some additional sites. And we all on this committee should have a copy of what that survey. So if any of the sites that he has completed this survey of comes before us, we, like this, will have with us a history of that site and its purpose. And because under the ordinance, there are different reasons for designating something as historic beyond the architecture. So
Well, and I know we had several different inventory lists. Did we ever
It's-
consolidate those? to one?
it's on the
It is,
website now.
okay, so
Yeah,
we do have one kind of
Yeah.
master. list
Right.
Now.
yeah,
So that's one of the
yeah.
annual.
So
requirements.
I think the good news is we're so far ahead of where we were two years ago. And this is now, I believe, achievable. So, yeah. Okay, so I
Okay.
guess that's,
And then do we need to put a motion forward to have Michelle work on the amendment to the? Okay, so how do we'll. Okay, all right,
So then you could work with her.
right, okay. And
Great.
then,
great. So
Okay, great.
one of the three of you in future meetings will give us an update on how we're doing and what we need and, and it really, I think it helps to move forward to have that.
Very good.
Yeah, absolutely. Very good.
Thank you. Before moving to new business, Anthony, we had skipped over the River Center
And I
liaison.
was shouting in silence over here.
Oh,
Well, I guess your mic was not on or something.
I was in, but not as a panelist, so I couldn't see myself and I had no access to the chat.
Okay. Well,
But
you're-
I'm in now. I'm here. I talked to Maren briefly. They have a lot going on with River Center. Obviously, Broadwalk is back again this year. They are working on some special events to highlight the arts and home design businesses in town, and just, very appreciative of that we talked and considered River Center as part of the guidelines, preserving the history of the town, and they're doing what they can to help preserve that as well. That's was the basis of it. It was a very quick conversation.
Okay, good. Thank you.
so can I ask, Anthony, do they have
Yeah.
regularly scheduled meetings now of the committee that you're on?
You know what? I have not. Maren was kind of in and out, so I didn't really push for that. Karen had been doing the regular meetings with
Right.
her, but I can absolutely get on a regular meeting with her if you want.
I think that's best because I'm sure they, at least quarterly,
Mhm.
that subcommittee you're on, I mean, you're not on the board. You're just a liaison to a subcommittee of the board. And I'm sure that they at least meet quarterly. And sometimes Karen was out of the loop on that. So, even if you could, she has to have it on the calendar, is what I'm saying. So even if the next time you talk to her, find out if there's a schedule of meetings for 2026.
Yeah, they have quarter. I know that they have their quarterly River Center. You're talking about their exec meetings.
I don't know how they designate the group that we want you on, which is about appearances and when they talk about signages and new businesses moving in and who's talked to who and is there somebody that needs their hand held for something?
I'll find out.
That's
Yeah.
the way I personally envision it. The way when a new business comes into town, Maren meets with them and specifically talks to them about signage.
Yeah, they're supposed to. There's a whole packet that they've
Yeah.
forever that River Center has always given out. The problem is, as Shauna knows, a lot of businesses don't go to River Center. They don't know to go to River Center. They just, I'm opening a business, and they get all this information piecemeal. It's been an issue with River Center forever. They can't hunt everybody down, and people just don't know to go to them. So
Well,
they've been working on that process as well.
Well, to my mind, you as a real estate agent are the perfect person for this job to reach
Sure.
out to other real estate agents to try and be a collaborative partner with them that if we educate the people who are renting the properties, and present ourselves as a support for the property, it's got to be better.
Absolutely. It just, the reality is it moves very quickly, and a lot of people don't go through a realtor for a commercial business. They go right to the landlord. They go right to the business itself. And it just happens fast. So we can do our best to guide
Yeah.
it, but I'm just being, transparent that you're always going to have these issues where River Center is trying to track down a business or someone's not getting the information that they're supposed to get. I don't know if, when they eventually start to get that information when they get to Shauna, right? When they get to do it to Borough Hall. And at that time, sometimes it's very frustrating for the business owner. You would think that they would have done all their due diligence ahead of time, but a lot of them don't. They get excited. They sign the lease. They go ahead, they get real far down the line, and then they find out all this stuff they did wrong when they get to Shauna and they're getting ready to open.
Can you think of anything that would help us be more connected with this whole process? I mean,
Yeah, I mean, I have a good relationship with Marin, so certainly, being involved in that. But as far as when a business is signing a lease and then registering, for their business and doing all that stuff, it's really landlord to landlord. It's every individual building owner that's signing that lease and talking to them. It's really educating maybe the owners of the buildings, about this stuff
Yeah.
as well.
yeah, well, when we sent out that letter to all the property owners in town, I'm sure not all the letters reached the right people, I guess. I don't know, because we still had people tearing down slate roofs, if you remember when we first started doing
Yep.
that. But I mean, maybe something will break, something, the communication back and forth. I don't know.
Yeah, I think just having, as technology and things are more accessible for people, and River Center has been going through some redesign of their website. The borough's been doing their redesign of their website. I think if we just prominently display these things and can educate, to your point, some of the, commercial brokers in town so that they understand this process more, and the landlords as well. And then River Center just being proactive in like, here's your welcome packet when you come to us. But most people don't know to go to them is the bigger issue.
Yeah. Well,
Anthony's correct because I've referred.
And I
people to
realize
it.
I'm frozen, so I don't know if you can hear me or,
Oh,
but you guys are frozen on my end.
hear you, but
Yeah,
yeah.
we can hear you, Anthony, but I've referred people to River Center many times because I can't spend the time to handhold them. So to walk them through the process of having to get the development permit, the zoning permit, then to get a CO, to get their inspections, to make sure that the inspections are closed out. So I've always referred. A lot of times I am the first contact for people, new businesses, because the landlord says, here, you have to go get this. You have to go to the town. They don't tell them what they have to go to the town for, what type of permits they need. They just show up and they're completely lost. And so you have people that need guidance on, well, you need to submit the zoning permit. And then you could go, do your fire marshal inspections and everything like that. So we have to literally walk them through it. And sometimes if it's taking too long, I'd refer them to River Center just so that they could help them hold their hands better than I can. So we get that. And then we get where, they put up a sign and they didn't realize that they needed a permit for the sign outside of their certificate of occupancy. So then they get knocked a violation for putting up a sign without going for historic review or even getting a zoning permit. So then they come, even though it says it in their approval that they're only approved for the certificate of occupancy, not a sign. And so they don't read that they're not approved for a sign or exterior improvements. So then we have to go back. So we get that a lot. It's just the way of the world right now. No one's telling anyone anything, especially the property owners. They're just telling them, go to the town and see what you need from them.
Well, maybe that's the goal this year, to get us out there and making ourselves more visible. I don't know how
Yeah,
we do.
it's definitely, I think to Shauna's point, that's exactly the breakdown that I've seen, is just the property owners, they don't want to, they know it changes all the time. So they don't want to tell somebody something wrong. They say, figure it out with the town, go, that's what happens.
Yeah, they don't even want to sign the application because our applications, the zoning permit and the historic preservation application, certificate of appropriateness, that requires the property owner and the applicant to sign. And sometimes the tenants don't want to go back to the property owner to even get their signature because they're afraid of the property owner because they can't find a property owner. or the landlord or whoever, and we require a survey sometimes, and they're like, well, can you give us the survey? Because I really don't want to go back to the landlord to go ask them this question. They were mean, they were this, they're pushing me out the door. So we get this a lot. I feel their frustration, but we do have an application process that we have to go through to make everything work. So just wanted to say that. Anthony's absolutely right. It's a struggle for them. And unfortunately, they don't know that they have the great resource of the River Center to help guide them, the new property owners. It's frustrating. They're paying, the tenants, they're paying all this rent, and, the landlords aren't helping them
Hmm.
when it's needed.
So hard to believe considering there's vacant storefronts and properties. You'd think that they'd be bending over backward to help the future tenant.
Not every property owner cares if there's somebody in their building or not.
Okay.
Just for a little more background, is there a formal relationship between River Center and the HPC? Or is that something that's a hope
So
future?
no, well, 2 years ago when we were reconstituted, we reached out and asked if we could have a liaison with them. And Karen, who's not here tonight, was the first person to take on that role, and Anthony. And so the new director was particularly open, and I think that because we included them in the design guidelines, I think that was also a positive step, that there should be that cooperation between the two. So,
It's more or less an informal
yeah,
relationship.
yes,
Yeah,
right. They
So-
don't have to let us in. We didn't have to let them in,
Right.
but yeah.
Mutually beneficial, but I think all of our expectations have to sort of align with the fact that it's an informal relationship, right?
Yeah. Yeah.
Well, also, River Center is not
Yep,
an
you have to get
integral-
closer.
River Center is not an integral part of Red Bank
Right,
government.
right.
It's a separate nonprofit
Nonprofit, yeah,
volunteer
right.
All right. I guess we're down to new business.
organization.
Before we go to new business, I'm sorry, I just want to add, I forgot to add this onto our agenda. The last meeting, we had talked about the Red Bank Records Building. I had
Oh,
mentioned
yes.
that they had
Red
went,
Bank Register.
yeah, register, I'm sorry. That they had got the violation, didn't show up to court. We've been back, waiting for them to submit, so they finally submitted the application. Even though, the improvements have already been made, but they finally have submitted the application. I have it. I'm going to ask them to come to the meeting, the next meeting, just to explain themselves, just out of principle, of what they did. So I haven't reviewed it. This was just placed on my desk 2 days ago, and I haven't had a chance to completely go through it and reach out to them. But I'm going to ask them to show up to the next meeting.
Very good.
Are any fines being issued or?
Yes, fines were being issued. And that's why now they finally, I think the prosecutor, when I spoke to him 2 weeks ago, he had told me that the attorney was going to reach out to me. And I guess now this is like the last straw. So, yeah.
Good, thank you.
Okay. So now to move to new business, site visit 342 Broad Street. If we could we put that picture up? So let me provide some context. I don't know if this is familiar to everyone here, but this is a property at 342 Broad Street. It's on the southwest edge of town, next to the Food Town supermarket,
It's commonly known as the Mushroom House.
commonly known as the Mushroom House. It is not designated a historic property. It does have obviously a distinctive look with both the landscaping and the roof resulting in that being called the Mushroom House. It's been there. I mean, I've lived in Red Bank or around here pretty much my whole life, and that house has been looking like that for as long as I can remember. That house is at risk. It is at the corner of a large tract of several acres of land, I don't know, 10 or 11 acres, including the Atlantic Club, which is around the corner from it, and the parking lot surrounding the Atlantic Club. There is a developer who who's in the process of purchasing that property with the intent to build housing. And as part of that, his plan would be to tear this down. So, you want to give more color to the extent you have it?
Sure. So we met with the developer. I spoke to him to say that, even though it's not designated as a historic site, the board has mentioned it several times in passing, and, being that it's a staple, it's its own landmark that people have used to, locate, as a location, device, for the borough. It's easily identifiable by its character. And though, again, it's not designated, I felt as though it was near and dear to this board's heart. And so I asked in that meeting that the developer meet with a subcommittee to go through the property. They can show you for themselves the state of it from the interior to the exterior and their reasons for why it can't be saved. And they agreed, the developer has agreed to do a tour, and they're very eager to actually meet with the committee members to discuss this property. So I would like to know which 3 members would like to, who are available to meet with the developer to discuss this property. I would like to schedule a meeting within the next week, which would kind of help us all to get this moving, and then we'll report back at our next meeting.
If I know personally some of the people involved, does that mean I should recuse myself from?
No, but it's not going to come before this commission because it's not designated. But if you would like to attend a meeting to discuss about this, it doesn't matter. It's not anything that you're going to have to make a ruling on. It's just a courtesy that the developer has bestowed upon us to look at the site before, making
Okay,
and do any recommendations that they're open to recommendations. And yes, they have received the design guidelines, even though it's not in a historic district. I did hand them the design guidelines to say, hey, in your new development, your design, since you're just in the beginning phases of your project, take a look at this and see what you can pull from it to help with your design. And he was very happy to take it and flip through it. We're not there yet. I haven't made a determination yet.
So,
It wouldn't matter. I don't think it would matter.
so let me just also say that I don't think I can mention who the developer is.
And this time, I don't think it's best to disclose. it.
Oh, okay,
Just
well,
because, again.
let me just, I can say this,
Although,
that the person in the past has been open to saving a historic building. So it's not somebody that I think would be as hard to sell as
they
other.
they have saved a historical building in a similar situation.
So, the pitch could be that it could be turned into some maybe community building restored for a Red Bank museum or, something that serves the community. So,
I'll volunteer to attend the walkthrough as well.
All right, so
And
Paul, Liam.
Need to coordinate.
and
timing,
Matthew.
but yeah.
Okay.
yeah.
That's I'm asking you guys, give me a date for next week, if that works. Just let me know your availability so I can just tell them tomorrow, email them tomorrow. It's up to you. You guys let me know. I'll make myself available.
Throw out some times and days.
They will probably attempt to say that it would cost too much.
And yeah, but, well, who knows?
Yeah, well, the stone there is what's known as popcorn stone, and that's,
I think it was peanut stone.
or peanut stone.
Yeah.
Or is it peanut stone or?
I think it's
Yeah.
peanut stone.
I don't even know if that's peanut stone, to be honest.
I'm pretty sure it is.
Is that more
that
native
is-
to Pennsylvania, that sort of stuff?
No, it's only indigenous. Right,
The peanut stone, you actually see the little stones. I have to go back, but I'm pretty sure that maybe it is. I have to go back and examine
Yeah.
it again. But I am curious, we're talking about saving it and all this stuff. But aside from the pillars, what's really historic about this house? I have to play devil's advocate on this one. I
That's
know.
what I left you a voicemail. I thought if anybody would know the history of this house, it would be you, Anthony.
That's what I'm saying, though. There's really not. Like, there's, aside from it being a visual thing that the last few generations know about, it's not like somebody notable lived there and put these in because they sold magic mushrooms or something,
Well,
No,
it,
there is history.
it was constructed, it was built at the request of an actor, and the name is publicly available, I just can't remember the name of it. But a retired actor had this built as his retirement home.
Yeah, and originally the roof was the cedar shingle you see there on the pillars there. The whole roof was like that originally.
Well,
Yeah, the
maybe
roo-
we could find out.
Yeah,
So-
I mean, I definitely would like to, hear more about the tour. I don't feel like I need to physically, tour it if you guys are all going. But, to me, the historic aspect would be maybe the pillars, the house itself. There's nothing notable about that house to me. The architecture, the whatever, it's like, it looks like trash.
From the first preliminary drawing that was presented, and
Yeah.
for anybody that's from like the media, that I don't have a copy of it, and I made sure that they didn't. I don't have a copy of it, but from what was shown to us, that was actually a key feature that the developer really liked was the pillars, the little mushroom pillars, and they had said, well, maybe we can incorporate, little those pillars throughout the whole development as it goes along, just as a nod to
An
what was-
homage. Yeah, I feel like that's where we're going to end up with this. Just, is that if they can do something that would be an homage to it or save the base structure, but you can see they're falling apart. I did go and visit the site actually a while ago and noticed that they were like, those pillars are all falling apart.
Mhm. Well, why don't you guys throw out a day to begin with and then,
Well,
or 2 days?
just, you know what, because you
We-
guys all probably have to, just send me an email.
Loop back, yeah.
I'll include, actually, right now, I'll type up the email, just reply back to it with some dates for next week. The only time I'm not good is Wednesday. I feel like I have all-day meetings. So, but other than that, I am open.
One observation I have about this site and the developer's plans that actually would facilitate preservation in some form is that this lies at the corner of one of the corners of the whole site, which is, much bigger than this property is. And therefore, to the extent it would be conceivable, possible, that you could restore this, renovate this, and use it as a clubhouse or something like that, a meeting house. And have the architecture of the rest of the new buildings mimic this or be consistent with it, so that when done, the whole thing, look, this fits in with it.
That's very similar to what they did with the Bluffs.
I don't like how it looks now, though, I guess is my point. It doesn't contribute to the way that house looks. The pillars are memorable, but the house itself, it's not as distinguishable. It doesn't represent the architecture of Red Bank. I wouldn't want 10 of those on that site.
I don't know.
Well,
Well, I
it's-
think,
it's
see
reflective-
what it says. I mean, when you go, I don't know.
It
Just-
looks a bit like a California cottage,
Mm.
which the actor probably came from California, but also the,
I wish we could find out who the actor
Well,
was.
Yeah,
you know,
but-
I'm wondering what opinion Stephen would have of it.
yeah.
You know, so maybe someone can shoot him a copy of it.
Yeah.
And see what his opinion is with respect to it. He is an expert.
That's it, very good.
Absolutely. I think that's a great idea.
Okay,
The Gertrude apartment building across the street was, I think,
1920s, I thought.
yeah, that was originally built by the Eisners, I believe, but it was inspired, I think, because they were spending a lot of time in California. And so this little section of Red Bank is
A little
has
bit of
little
a
California
little bit of
feel
a
to it.
California craftsman quality.
California corner.
Okay.
More consistent with it being on the west side of Red Bank. It's the part of Red Bank closest to California. Really stretching. All right, is there, so that exhausting, I think, the agenda. Any public comments or anything else anyone wants to discuss?
I know I sent out the email, and only Matthew responded, but who would like to attend? Oh, sorry, the Historic Preservation conference is from July 17th.
June.
and-
June.
Sorry,
June.
June 17th to the 18th. It's 2 days. You could choose to go one day or both days, but
So
On-
I'm going on the 18th. So I'm part of the panel.
What
so
days?
you do-
Thursday, Wednesday and Thursday. I think.
Just let me know so that I can register you.
Yeah.
please. And thank you.
You want me to send you an email?
Mhm.
All right. I'll-
Day one begins at 1 PM to 4:30. And day two, it it's all day.
It starts at what time?
On
No, it
Tuesday,
starts at breakfast.
8.
Yeah, but you
Tuesday.
could go later,
So, sorry.
Does everyone have a copy of the agenda?
Which
for
agenda?
that?
Which agenda?
it's online.
I can send it to everyone.
Yeah, if you can.
Yeah,
share it.
I'll share it.
I'll take a look. I'll see if I can do one of those. days. I'm not sure.
Okay.
I can't do those.
All right, so just email me, respond to my email with this, please.
Okay, thank you. All right, do we have a motion for adjournment?
On motion.
Thank you. Do I have a second?
Second?
Thank you. All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye,
Aye.
Thank you, Anthony.
thank you.
Thank you, guys.
Thanks, everybody. My pleasure.
Is it?